Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am actually transplanting all of my seedlings. I am going about removing these alliums that I have because I wanted to set up the garden a slightly different angle. Last year I did it from the wooden fence towards the grass as my aisles, and I decided to go the long direction. So instead of the fence to the grass, I'm doing my, rows from the chain link fence towards the right of the screen, I guess you could say, where you can't see, that's off the screen. And there it is, a little bit better for you. That I'm changing it so that they're not as grouped together or as short distanced in a sense. It's stretched out a little bit longer, but I don't think these alliums are going to make it. And that's just because we have very thick clay soil and it holds so much moisture. So the alliums look like they're having a little bit of trouble and they're starting to degrade. I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but the alliums that I took out, when I did take them up, they had an outer layer that was starting to turn mushy. So they are kind of like onions. So I did take some of the mushy outer layer off, hoping that the rest of the bulb would be okay. But then now, hindsight, thinking about it, maybe that extra mushy layer would have protected the remainder of the bulb. I'm not too sure. Or if I just made the rest of the bulb rot faster. But they do not look as good as they do in this video right now, and it's only been a few days since I completed this project. In any case, I went ahead and made the decision to move everything so that I could have longer rows, and trying to organize it where I did flowers, then edibles, then flowers, then edibles, or however you want to call the flowers. I know some people call them, not decorative, but what's the word that I'm looking for? Ornamentals. But in any case, that's how I did it. I did flowers first, which are the alliums, and then I did a row of eggplant and peppers, and there are different varieties of, I think, peppers. I'm not too sure. I think there's sweet peppers and then hot peppers and things like that, banana peppers. I'm not too sure about my tomatoes. They've been in the ground for a few days now, and they are not as green as they look in this video. They're looking more of a dusky green, and that's not how they've been looking the entire time they've been in pots. They've been kind of a dark to light green depending on watering and sunlight and things like that, and it's been kind of chilly, so I think a lot of it has something to do with that as well. I did go ahead and put down my Shasta daisies, my salvias, and I think snapdragons, the tomatoes, and I'm trying to think of the other ones that I put down. There's another thing that I put down as well. And all I'm doing is just using my hand trowel and getting them all up, and also using my larger shovel for the big alliums. I do have a auger that I have, I guess you could say. It's in the garage. I didn't really feel like messing with it. I just kind of wanted to just the regular digging in the soil with the hands and the shovel today. It did take me quite a while to get this done because it was kind of hot. So it was probably the worst day to actually transfer all of these plants during the hottest day, which they have bounced back quite a bit. I think there's only one thing that kind of didn't make it, which is one of my peppers. I'm not too sure what the variety is because I am terrible at labeling. I just really enjoy growing things, seeing what happens, and then seeing what they look like when they grow, which is probably the worst thing ever because if you don't know what the variety is, you might not know what it's supposed to look like when it's mature. Especially if you have like tomatoes. So some tomatoes might be yellow, some tomatoes might be orange, some tomatoes need to be harvested when they're a red color or a specific size. And if you don't know what that is, then you won't harvest any of your stuff correctly, and that can either decrease your yields or you're going to get a bad experience with that that type of or variety of fruit or vegetable that you're handling. So I definitely will have to work on that next year or from now on going forward. Definitely making sure that I know what variety is going in the ground. But I do have other varieties that I'm going to put in here, and I have labeled those correctly, and they should be going out in a couple weeks. Once I get everything planted into the ground, I'm trying to make sure it's going to get, well draining and a lot of water, but I do have to be careful, like I said, because I don't have any type of amendments in this soil. So it's mostly just the clay soil. I think I amended it last year, but with the rain and, overwintering and things like that, it's back to just being a lump of clay soil. I do definitely need to get some straw or something to layer over it, like mulch, because the weeds are going to go crazy. And I am not a no-till, but I didn't really want to do that this year. It's really time consuming. I know it's not super horrible, but with our clay soil, it would take forever for this to dry out for me to properly till it. And I didn't want to destroy any of the good stuff that may be in the ground this year, and just wanted to go ahead and get everything in the ground. I did till last year, I think, right before the season ended, like maybe September, October, and I tilled a little bit, and that was mainly because we put in new garden boxes and we needed to get everything a little bit more flat than it was, and so I tilled everything to get it smoother. The biggest challenge this year for this is the spacing. I don't have any type of drip line. It's not something I really want to invest in right now. It's going to be challenging just because they're so packed together, and the weeds are going to probably get out of control at the same time. Hopefully that won't be too horrible for me to keep up with, but I do work aside from this. This is just leisure. It's not something I do to make money off of or anything, but it's fun to catalog it and see how far the garden goes for year to year. I'm just going to go ahead and get the last little bit in the ground. I did find a sunflower, and I placed that in the back left corner or right corner. I'm not sure, depending on who you ask or which direction you're looking from. So I guess it's kind of on my left side now that I'm facing this way. You can kind of see a little bit larger green thing right there in the area. I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, get everything else in the ground. Then I'm going to water it in. I have a few more things I do need to put in the ground. I'm hoping to get maybe one squash plant, one eggplant, and things like that. And then hopefully I can find some mulch to help suppress those weeds a little bit, and maybe dress it with a little bit more soil just to get some nutrients in the ground, since I did not amend it beforehand, and hope for the best. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.